Hello, and welcome to your GMan Season 15 Division 4H Matches of the Week. I'm Lord Sigmund, and I'm going to be going through your games this week. So, this is Week 3, and our first matchup is King Kill's Apocalypse of Death Chaos team versus Logic 88's High Barnet Raiders, Lizardmen. So, Lizardmen won 3-0 this week. Excellent showing by them. They chose to kick on the kickoff and got a blitz. First thing that happens is the Chaos get their mantle baited off the line of scrimmage with a frenzy, and then fail a block with a Chaos Warrior versus a Saurus with block, opening a hole right in the middle of the line of scrimmage, as seen here. A hole right in the middle there, Chaos Warriors on one side and a big gap on the other side. This lets a blitz on the ball carrier, and it lets the skink retrieve the ball. As you can see here, skink marks at the ball carrier, and Saurus comes through and blitzes him, and the skink retrieves the ball. The Lizards manage to stall until turn 4 before the Chaos pressure forces their touchdown. On the next drive, the Chaos Minotaur again fails to knock anyone down with 8 successive block dice over 2 turns and gets drawn away from any support. And the ball-carrying Beastman, for some reason, is used to assist a failed block by another Beastman without block against a block Mighty Blow Saurus. Predictably, this goes horribly wrong, leaving that Saurus free to knock down the ball carrier next turn, and the Lizards go 2-0 up on turn 8. With the Chaos setting up with 7 players on defence for the second half, the game's all but decided, and the Lizards stall for the entire half, scoring the final touchdown on turn 16 with 8 players to 5 left on the pitch. I predicted this one correctly, but it wasn't as close as I expected, unfortunately. The Lizards ran away with it. They severely outbashed the Chaos in the first half, possibly due to the lack of block on the team. You can see, ball possession wise, 81% of the Lizard team there, compared to 6 for the Chaos. Not even close. Next up, we have Gimlick's Swedish Forest Wolves Necromantic team versus Cranky Goblins Skaven the Sewer Kings. This was a 2-1 win for the Necromantics. The Rats chose to kick, but a riot caused both teams to lose a turn. An uneventful offensive drive from the Necromantic team led to a 6-turn touchdown, with little opposition from the Rats beyond a blitz from their Mighty Blow blitzer killing the block Wolf. And then another riot, losing turns, leaves the Rats with 2 turns rather than 3 to equalise, and the Necromantics stand firm line of scrimmage, and a good kick from them meant that the score stayed 1-0 going into the second half. The 2 players down, the Rats do rat things and score on turn 11 thanks to their obscenely fast gutter runners. But the Necromantics respond with a perfect 2-1 corpse march grind and walk the ball down the pitch in a cage, even managing the handoff to the white that was close to levelling before scoring on turn 16 for the win. Grindy game, excellent execution by Swedish Forest Wolves. I predicted this one incorrect again. The Rats need to work on their defence. There's 2 games in a row now where I've seen them unable to avoid the 2-1 grind. If their opponents cage up, they don't seem to be able to break those cages. They, I think, need to have a look at harassing the corners and maybe making opportunities on the ball carrier rather than just trying to screen out and hope that their armour protects them. Again, if you look at the ball possession, the Swedish Sewer Kings only had it for 18%, whereas the Swedish Forest Wolves had 62%. Another little one-sided match. So, next up we have the Lovely Fools Patchy Pack Necromantic team versus Pylon's High Elf Highwayman team. Now, this was a little bit of a massacre by the Necromantic team. Unfortunately not even close, and this werewolf here, Don't Hurt the Good Boy, was the well-deserved most valuable player for the game. So, The game started by the elves inducing a wizard. The necromantics chose to receive, and start as they meant to go on. They got a casualty on a guard lineman on the first block, and at the end of the first turn they fouled the other guard lineman to a casualty as well. When I played the High Elf team the other week, those two guard linemen were the bane of my existence. They were very, very strong, and the necromantic team removing them right off the bat served them very well. The necromantics caged up on the line of scrimmage and got fireballed from the high elves, but unfortunately for the elves it only knocks over the ball carrier, not the corners of the cage, and doesn't even break armour. The necromantics managed to retrieve the ball and cage it up against the side of the pitch, as seen here. But this doesn't deter the plus agility high elf linemen that you can see lying down next to the fireball zone, who makes the 4+ dodge into the cage and surfs the ball carrier off the side of the pitch. The ball carrier is the necromantic star ghoul, and they managed to injure him with minus agility, scattering the ball, as you can see, right towards the end of the pitch, leaving a free catcher to quite easily retrieve it and score on turn 5. The second necromantic drive starts like the first did, with 2 casualties, both off the line of scrimmage this time, but nothing really else happens in the first half. The elves start their offence with 7 players to 10 necromantics, and don't really get very far with it, with the necromantics stealing the ball and scoring on turn 11, with only 4 elves left on the pitch by the time. For the last drive, setting up with 5 players, the elves lose 1 to a thrown rock straight away, and the necromantics once again waltz through and score the winning touchdown on turn 16, with only 1 elf left on the pitch. I predict this one correct. I thought the High Elves might be able to take it, but that mighty blow werewolf earned his MVP definitely, clearing the L team from the pitch, but Pylon did very well to score in the first half. Next up, we have Chaos Black Nightmares, Michaelis' Chaos team versus Agora's Warriors, Massey Sally's Orc team. This was a 1-1 draw. Fairly uneventful one here. The Orcs induced a wizard, and Chaos chose to receive. On turn 2, the Orcs injure the rookie Chaos Warrior with minus agility, and Michaelis uses his apothecary on it to turn it into a missing next game. I disagree with this a little bit, because this warrior was already injured, had no skills, and yes, he had just replaced a Chaos Warrior last game, so his bank's a little low, but I don't think that Chaos Warrior is worth saving with the apothecary. And Nuff will agree with me, as the very next action killed a block beastman. Orcs use the Wizard's Lightning Bolt on turn 5, and it fails to hit, but unfortunately for them, they'd maybe accidentally, maybe not knowingly, stood an Orc up first, and as an action had been taken before the Wizard was used, the turn immediately ends, leaving no opposition for the Chaos to score on turn 6. The only other thing that happens in this first half is that the Chaos Star Ball Carrier injures himself on a failed go for it trying to blitz. The second half is just a cage march down the pitch for the Orcs to score on turn 15. My prediction here was incorrect. I predicted an Orc win, and the Orcs did have more players on the pitch at the end of the game, but just didn't have enough pressure to avoid the draw, and that mistake with the Wizard in the first half definitely didn't help them. So next up we have the Black Creek Buccaneers, Maiden Maniacs Dark Elf team versus the Jurassic Sparks, Oaxter's Lizardmen. This was a very comfortable win for the Dark Elves. As you can see, not a lot happened in the way of bashing. 8 armor breaks to the Dark Elves versus 5 to the Lizardmen. And it was a very dodgy, very elfy game. You can see, even with only 25% ball possession, the elves were not holding onto the ball for very long. They were stealing it and scoring very quickly. If you can see the possession from the possession stats, the occupation of the own opponent's half was 25% for the Black Creek Buccaneers. They never held the ball in their own half at any time. And occupation of own half with Jurassic Sparks was only 37%. 6% of the entire game was the ball in the Dark Elf half of the pitch. So, yeah, after a disappointing first 2 games of the season, the Dark Elves seem to have been activated here. The entire team scarily has dodge now, and most have block and wrestle too, and it's looking very scary. The Lizard team have no tackle whatsoever. The Jurassic Sparks induced Silly Billy and chose to receive. They start the game by caging up, and the Elves spend a few turns harassing that cage and removing skinks from the pitch, before an incomplete cage on turn 4 after moving it across the pitch gets the ball carrying skink blitzed, but a Cornosaurus catches the ball on the bounce. That Saurus makes a break for it on turn 6, but ends up marked on both sides by the elves marked here, and then the Witch Elf in the middle of the pitch comes in to surf the Saurus off the side of the pitch here. The ball scatters back up into the Lizardmen half, as you can see with the red arrow there. But the elves manage to retrieve it. They send a couple of the elves further down the pitch, as you can see by the top arrows, and then the agility dodge blitzer comes in from the side, picks up the ball, and passes it forward to the dodge tackle one that's already run forward. The Dark Elves score an easy, they managed to, from this position, they managed to score on turn 7, putting them 1-0 up. On their drive, nothing else happens in the first half, and then on their drive in the second half, the Elves score an easy 3-turn touchdown on their offensive drive with no real resistance and go 2-0 up, with 2 skinks and a Saurus off the pitch for the next Lizardman drive. They start that drive with some line of scrimmage blocking, one of which is Silly Billy rolling double skulls and getting a turnover almost straight away. The Elves respond unkindly by swarming into the open backfield of the Lizardmen team. The Lizards make a valiant attempt at a defence, including fireballing the ball carrier and failing to break armour, and getting the ball away on a skink for a short period, but it's not enough to stop the Elves scoring on their third touchdown on turn 15 for a convincing win. I predicted this one correctly. The Elves really showed up this week. I didn't think the previous 2 games of the season were indicative of their skill or potential, and the Lizardmen could not protect their skinks well enough from the fast elf tacklers. Next up we have my game this week. It's Zoomnig's Ulfraganga Norse team versus my Bowie's Boyos. It was a 3-1 win to us, and I was a little bit proud of how this turned out, though I did get a bit lucky in the first half, definitely. We spent a little bit of our bank to induce a babe, expecting lots of knockouts from the Norse team, and she actually did quite pay off. The Norse team chose to receive, but the Elves got a perfect defence. The Norse killer Ulf Werner, the block mighty blow one that's was top of the Hall of Fame for violence last week, decided to block a blodge sidestep blitzer, as you can see in this video here. Fails to score the POW and ends up frenzy trapping themselves at the side of the pitch. So on the Elf first turn, we decided to pay them back and play the Norse at their own game. And with the push, the Ulf Werner is surfed off the side of the pitch and injured first turn, with a miss in the next game. That certainly helped the Elf chances for the rest of the game. Meanwhile, the other Elves went around the left flank into the Norse half, but the Norse ignored them and run straight past, handing the ball off and taking it undefended into the Elf half. the elves that had been involved in the surfing harass and then sack the ball carrier, and a scrum around the ball ensues on turn 3. The elves have it briefly, but the other Norse Ulfwerner blitzes the ball carrier and they get it back on turn 4 on a berserker, a little bit back from the elf defence. But with a extremely lucky series of actions, the elves managed to retrieve the ball. So you can see here the berserker, surrounded by 2 other players, has retrieved the ball. The scrum on the left hand side there is the elves that were previously involved in trying to get the ball, and the Ulfwerner at the bottom is the one that blitzed the ball carrier to free it. So the elf on the left hand side moves in to defend, the blitzer on the right hand side moves in to assist against the ball carrier with his guard, and the 2 top elves move round to be in positions for once the ball's been retrieved, hopefully been retrieved. Then the wrestle, tackle, catch sacker blitzes through, and the ball ends up on the floor on the right hand side of those Norse. Then, with some lucky dodges, the rest of the elves that hadn't moved forward into a caging position around the catcher that moved at the top, and the lineman in the middle there moves round, picking up the ball, makes a couple of successful dodges, and hands off to the catcher that had arranged themselves at the top there. Actually, I think that's a blitzer. Can't really tell from here. But from there, the Norse are unable to retrieve the ball. The ball is sent down the pitch, and the elves manage to store out for a turn 8 touchdown. Unfortunately, suffering a few removals in the process, we get 1 badly hurt casualty and 3 knockouts. But the aforementioned babe, well worth her money, wakes up all 3 knockouts for the second half. For the setup for the second half, for some reason the Norse decide to leave gaps in their defence on either flank, and the elves accept this opportunity along with a quick snap from the kick-off roll and pass the ball forward straight away to cage it up halfway down the Norse half on one flank, scoring the second touchdown on turn 10. On the Norse drive, a failed pickup and some elf dodges means that the elves get a mark on the ball with nearby support on turn 11. The Norse manage to retrieve the ball on turn 12, but a failed dodge to get it away from the marker leaves the elves free to score a third touchdown on turn 12. And once again, the babe wakes up another KO'd player. The Norse finish the game by resisting an elf sack blitz and instead escape with the ball downfield to a waiting berserker who scores the final touchdown of the game on turn 14. I did incorrectly predict this one. I was a little bit scared of the Norse team, especially after watching the game last week where they massacred a bit of a Chaos team. I was quite proud of my result, but I did get a bit lucky for the first touchdown and a very early Ulfwerner removal. And the last game of the week is Massacre's Emperor's Chosen Human team versus Cthulhu Collect's Warbeast Orc team. Very convincing win for the humans here. They chose to receive and sent the ball on an undefended blodge catcher down the Orc half on turn 1. A little bit of a risky play. It is a bit of an elf play actually. I mean, getting the ball down there, getting as many players around it as possible, confident that even if your ball carrier gets sacked that you have enough players around to retrieve it and score. You're putting the onus on the Orc team to run backwards down the pitch if they don't have defence back there, which they didn't. They were mostly on the line of scrimmage, and making them take an action, especially when the Orc team are relatively slow compared to the humans who have some fast players on their team at the moment. The Orcs do sack the ball carrier, but like I said, the humans manage to retrieve it on their turn with a different blodge step catcher on turn 2, but once again it's left undefended. This time the Orc blitzer doesn't get the power it needs, and the humans easily score on turn 3. The Orcs spend the rest of the first half moving a cage with the ball in it around their half the pitch until the humans mark it up on all corners on turn 7 and steal it away for a touchdown on turn 8. After the ball carrier tried to dodge away from a marking human player and the ball scattered out of the cage. In the second half, the Orcs again cage up straight away, but get their cage broken by the humans on turn 10. The Orcs do get the ball free on the thrower by dodging away, and then making an absolute Hail Mary of a pass out from the thrower to the other side of the pitch for the blitzer on the 5+. Unfortunately, that Orc blitzer there is undefended, and the humans wrap him up. Don't make a successful sack, but they wrap him up, surround him on all sides with human players on the next turn. And rather than trying to dodge out or escape or blitz free, that Orc makes another ridiculous pass out on a 6+ successfully this time to the thrower, who'd reposition further down. Unfortunately, the thrower does not manage to catch it and have no rerolls left at the time to save that. So the humans retrieve it and run it all the way down to the Orc end zone to score their 3rd touchdown on turn 13. The humans almost score a 4th touchdown on top of that, but a failed pass in an attempt to skill up their 5 out of 6 skill point linemen scuppers that plan. I predicted this one correctly. The humans were very impressive last week, and they walked all over the Orcs here, and the ball barely left the Orc half. Like the previous game, one-sided game I mentioned, it was, according to the statistics, it was only in the out of the Orc half for 6% of the game as well. So not so hot on the predictions this week. I only got 3 correct. Not as good as last week by the long shot. So if we have a look at the leaderboard for the division. I'm not going to count my chickens yet, but my elf team are top of the table with three wins. Closely followed by the 2 necromantic teams and the High Barnet Raiders at 2-1. 2 wins and 1 draw. Then we have Mascarcrae's Humans team, the Emperor's Chosens at 2 wins and 1 loss, before the Dark Elf Black Creek Buccaneers, who picked up their first win this week. And I'm expecting that number to keep rising. As long as the loss column remains empty, those 2 draws will also serve them in good stead later on when it comes to some tie breaks, possibly. Then we've got the other Lizardman team, the Jurassic Sparks, at 1-1-1, before getting into the lower half of the table, with Pylon's Highwaymen, Cranky Goblin Sewer Kings, Zoomning's Ulfragangers, and King Kill's Apocalypse of Death, all at 1 win and 2 losses. Before we get to the bottom with Michaelis' Chaos Nightmares at 1 draw and 2 losses, Mrs. Holly's Agorous Warriors at 1 draw and 2 losses, and Cthulhu Collects Wild Beasts at 3 losses. So hopefully they see a bit of an improvement in the coming weeks. So let's have a look at the teams. So we've got the Patchy Pack, Lovely Fools Necromantics. At a team value of 1730, they are one of the strongest teams in the division at the moment, and that is down to these werewolves. Don't Hurt the Good Boy and Another Very Good Boy at 83 and 52 skill points respectively. They are the MVPs of this team, and previously they had their MVP star ghoul called Chutoy, but he got surfed, as we saw in the recap before, and lost a point of agility and became useless, so he got fired. Don't Hurt the Good Boy, who already had Blodge, Tackle, Mighty Blow, rolled double, and got plus agility, so he's going to be an even bigger menace. And Another Very Good Boy got Sidestep to go with their Blodge Tackle after scoring both touchdowns. So we can still see that Jose and Marty and Elvi Broken down here are 1 skill point away from levelling up. Hopefully they get a lucky Kaz, but I think, and Stein the Wolf Trainer is 1 skill point away as well, but I can think the focus of this team for the development wise is going to be getting some more skill points on these ghouls. I've never played Necromantics myself. Obviously these wolves are perfectly capable ball carriers, but if I'm going to have a ghoul on my team, or at least 1 ghoul on my team, I want him to be useful, so he's going to need at least block. Possibly sure hands as soon as possible. Next up we have Michaelis' Case Black Nightmares. They had a bit of a rough week. Lely Mantle, a Block Beast man, died, Fragor's the Fang here, the star ball carrier beastman, is out next game, which I'm quite happy about because Michaelis is my opponent for this week coming up. And so is Nith the Fate, one of their rookie Chaos Warriors, who got minus agility. Well, I think he already had minus agility, so he's just out next game. No skill ups for these guys, unfortunately, this week. And only real close ones are these Chaos Warriors. These Chaos Warriors all need a casualty, maybe a touchdown each. Well, Lector, the blind one, needs a touchdown. The rest need a casualty each to level up. And the team will definitely be improved once it sees those. At the moment, this Minotaur is a bit of a skill point sink for the team. And without Fragor's the Fang, they lose a lot of their team value for the next game. Next up, we've got Maiden Maniacs Black Creek Buccaneers. Bosun Aetherbear, their dodge tackle blitzer here, picks up sidestep after scoring 2 touchdowns and getting 2 casualties on their game this week. And no injuries as well, means they're in excellent position. Like I mentioned before, every member of the team has dodge, most have block or wrestle as well. We've got 3 tackles, 1 mighty blow, and some sidesteps, and 1 guard down here. They are very scary. Bring your tackles when you face them. Next up, we've got Zoomnig's Ulfraganger's Norse team. No injuries this week, but of course they've got 1 injury. They've got Tuvalisa missing next game. Their mighty blow Ulfwerner that got served, but their berserker Tyke Morbut picked up guard, but from scoring a touchdown. Still close to leveling with this lineman at the top. Can only imagine he'll probably get Dirty Player possibly when they does level up. Or maybe Frillin down here will get Dirty Player and we'll get something else for that guy. Next up, High Barton Radius Logic 88 Lizardmen. Not even going to try to pronounce it. This Saurus is out for next game with the groin strain. And Sharakin down here, the skink, picks up sidestep after scoring 2 touchdowns and 1 completion this week to go with block that they already had. Then we've got Masakure's Empress Chosens. No injuries for them this week, but a couple of skill ups. The Lost Son of Sigmar, their tackle blitzer, picks up guard from a touchdown, and the rookie lineman Annex Adventurer picks up kick from getting the MVP. A couple of linemen that are close to leveling. We want some more touchdowns on their plus agility plus movement linemen to get in block at least, I think. Possibly dodge. Yeah, possibly dodge actually. And that seems to be where their development's going. We've got a couple of catchers that need a bit of development as well, because if this Omen Geert is out, then they lose a bit of offensive on their catcher front. Cthulhu collects Warbeasts, uneventful week for them, no skill ups and no injuries here, but still looking like they've got a lot of potential. We've got lots of tackle, lots of mighty blow, a couple of guard, and a dirty player. These guys, I wouldn't count them out just yet. And then my team, the Bowies Boyos, a couple of skill ups for us. We did some vanity passing near the end of the game. No injuries, but Cracked Actor, the catcher, picks up Wrestle, so now we have 2 Wrestle catchers, and Rebel, the rookie catcher, got plus movement on their skill up. So possibly looking to make him a viable 1-turner. Not entirely sure. Probably pick up dodge next, because can't have too much dodge. But maybe after that sprint, who knows? I'm not entirely sure where he's going yet. Diamond Dog here is very close to leveling up. He only needs 2 more skill points. And Super Creep as well needs 4. These are my next development ones. I need some more tackle players. I'm be facing the Black Creek Buccaneers on week 9, so by them I want by then I really want to have tackle on both blitzers, and possibly dirty player on this 5 out of 6 lineman down here. Next up we've got Wax's Jurassic Sparks. They had one of their rookie skinks die this week, and Carnoslat the Blocksaurus is missing next game. But Ulder Hutek, the skink up here, what did he? He got the MVP and seems to have picked up Jump Up there. So, scary little threat there to watch out for. Has Diving Tackle and Jump Up. Two skills that go well together. Next, Masisali Zagori's Warriors. No skill ups for them. And Gorfang Eat Legs, one of their rookie Black Orc here, picked up his second niggling injury. Yeah, 2 niggles there, 2 smashed knees, both knees are out, and Masisali has the money to replace him, I think, so I would probably look to do that. There's no point in having a journeyman lineman next time when you could just replace the double niggle Black Orc, save yourself some heartache in the long run. Yes, he does have 5 skill points, but I don't think it's worth saving that. Then we come to the very unfortunate Highwaymen, not taking some skill ups, but they received a drubbing this week, and this page reflects that. So they've got 2 catchers out, Rich Dunson and Tom Dunson. Tom Dunson got a skill up this week and hasn't taken it yet. And the plus agility lineman is out with minus agility. Unfortunately, he's back down to agility 4. The agility 5 did work for them this week. It managed to surf the necromantic bull carrier by cage diving. So that vindicates it a little bit. I'm still not a fan of agility on linemen, but I can't argue with the results. But he's not going to be doing any more of it with his minus agility. I would probably consider removing this guy as soon as possible because he's just unnecessary team value bloat now. The tackle blitzer up here, he got the MVP, and so he's skilled up, so we've not seen what he's taken yet. The Sewer Kings, Cranky Goblin Skaven, no injuries, no skill ups for them. These gutter runners are looking very strong, but unless they start finding ways to harass cages, they're going to be not doing so well, I think. King Kills Apocalypse of Death. Unlucky for them. King Conquest the second was in this gap at the top. Bought last week. Dead again this week. Beast 7 down here. Skills up off the MVP and picks up guard to go with that block. And last but not least, we have the Swedish Forest Wolves, Gimlick's necromantic team. Their Dodge White picks up the MVP and takes guard with it, replacing the Dodge Guard White that died last week. Unfortunately, they had a block werewolf here that died. It was at 15 out of 16 skill points as well, which is very unfortunate. But Dodge wouldn't have saved it, which I assume would have been the next choice, because the player that killed it had tackle. Some close skill ups here. This Flesh Golem is 14 out of 16. Got a 5 out of 6 zombie down here, and the ghoul is 4 out of 6. But like the other necromantic team, now we have no developed ghouls on this team. So that's the teams, the matches, and the overview of the schedule. So we'll have a quick look at the Spikebot stats for the week, as the standings as they are now. So, a bit of movement on here. The top scorer, my team, make an appearance after scoring a few touchdowns with Diamond Dog, my plus agility blitzer that I'm trying to level up. but another very good boy, the Patchy Pack's Necromantic Werewolf, stays at the top with 4 touchdowns. Moving into the violent side of the statistics, we have those 2 werewolves still at the top of blockers with 42 blocks each, and Beastabad the Minotaur from the Apocalypse of Death at 34. I can't help but think that number is still high because of Frenzy, but as we saw this week, not very effective with those blocks sometimes, especially if they're coming up against block teams. Most violent casualties, the Patchy Pack is top of the table still, as they are in the previous ones, with Don't Hurt the Good Boy, that very, very scary blitzing werewolf with Mighty Blow. Followed by the 2 Minotaurs from the Curse teams, and the 2 Velisa, who was top last week, I do believe, but is now further down because he got knocked out right at the start of the game. We're up to 9 serfs for the division, and I'm very proud of that one. But yes, 9 serfs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all on different teams. Yep, oh no, we got 2 for the Black Creek Buccaneers. Of course, they're Dark Elves, they like to surf, but yes. 8 teams of surf people. And we're up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 kills in the division. 2 Velisas still on top, but we have some more people joining the killer club there. When we look at the overall impact that players have though, Bosuneth Bear from the Black Creek Buccaneers has sneaked into top position with 33 points after scoring 2 touchdowns. Now, to go with the 3 casualties and 1 kill is enough to put them into the top spot. Then we've got the 2 werewolves from the Patchy Pack with the grey from the Swedish Forest Wolves in the middle there, and Beastabad, the Minotaur from the Apocalypse of Death, knocked down a few pegs this week. So, before we go, let's have a look at next week's matches. So first up we have the High Barnet Raiders, Logic 88's Lizardmen versus the Sewer Kings, Cranky Goblins, Skaven team. I think this is going to be a High Barnet Raiders win. Sorry Cranky Goblin, I've voted for you a couple of times, but you keep letting me down. You can't keep getting away with it, man. So the Lizardmen have my vote this week. Next up we have the Highwaymen, Pylons High Elves versus Apocalypse of Death, King Kills Chaos team. I think this is going to be a close game, but I think the Apocalypse of Death might take it. The High Elves were absolutely mauled this week, and I'm not sure the lack of tackle on the Chaos team is going to be enough to help them when they're quite far down. Next up we have Ogori's Warriors, Massey Sally's Orcs versus the Swedish Forest Wolves, Gimlick's Necromantic team. This will be a Swedish Forest Wolf win, I think. Gimlick's been playing very well, I'm quite impressed with his play, and Ogori's Warriors haven't been doing so hot. Next we have the Jurassic Sparks, Oaxter's Lizardmen versus the Patchy Pack, the Lovely Fools Necromantic team. The Patchy Pack are a very scary team. I think they win it. Their wolves are forces to be reckoned with, and Mighty Blow, Claw, Tackle can chew through all the Lizardmen players. You've got Tackle for the Skinks, you've got Mighty Blow and Claw for the Saurus. I don't think they've got anything to worry about here. Then I'm going to be my Bowie's Boyos Pro Elf team. I'm going to be playing the Chaos Black Nightmares Chaos team, but coached by Michaelis. After this week's performance, my confidence against bashy teams has boosted a bit, and I think I'm going to get the win for the Elves here. The fact that Chaos are missing their star ball carrier and one of their Chaos Warriors helps me a bit in this regard, I think. Next is the War Beasts, Cthulhu Collects Orc team versus the Black Creek Buccaneers, Maiden Maniacs Dark Elves. I think this is going to be a Black Creek Buccaneers win. I may be biased, but after this week's performance, I can't see Black Creek Buccaneers losing against the War Beasts, I'm afraid. They are a force to be reckoned with, and I think everybody should be scared of them. And last but not least, we've got Masakre's Emperor's Chosens versus the Ulfragangers Norse team. I think Masakre is going to take this. The Emperor's Chosen human team are going to win. It might be a close one, but I think the humans are going to edge it out. They've shown some very good defensive play, and they've got some fast players. So that's all of it from me for week 3. I thought everybody has a good week 4, and happy Blood Bowl.